Good evening. Welcome to Yoga in Your PJs. This is the Celtic Wisdom series, and this is class number 6. And we're going to start on our back today. And I just wanted to let you know that my husband John is helping me tonight. He's assisting, and he actually had surgery on the left foot. But we're going to demonstrate tonight that we can do yoga even with just one leg. So John is going to modify, and some of the poses is going to do them just on the one side. So that should be fun to see yoga done in a different way, even when we just have one leg that's able to do things. So we are going to start on our back. If you are on the chair, you can go on your chair, have your stool, your little other chair in front of you. And we're going to give ourselves a full body stretch. Oh, that feels good. And we're going to take a deep breath in. Exhale, gently release the arms by our side. And then we will do this a few more times. Inhale, arms up. Take your time, don't rush it. I know some of you rushed to make it to the practice, but now no more rushing. We take it nice and slow. So hard to believe that we are at our sacred Celtic principle number 6. One more time, number 6. And I'll release your arms by your side and kind of be there for a little bit, just watching the breath. Maybe put one hand on the belly, one hand on the chest, and let yourself be breathed. So the 6th sacred principle is sacred earth. Sacred earth. So when you think about it, all the other principles that we have talked about the past 5 weeks, they all had a little bit of the sacred earth. I mean, they all had a lot of the sacred earth. But today we are digging deeper into the principle of sacred earth. And the main principle is if the earth is sacred, we need to protect it. We need to protect it. And it's not about us being the masters of the earth and using the earth. It's about us protecting the earth, respecting it. And now hug both knees to the chest. And again, John is going to do what feels right. So it is a good lesson in respecting the body, doing what's best for the body in yoga and in life. And now hug just the right leg and relax the left leg. And notice if you feel like moving the leg that you're hugging in circles or right to left, or if you just feel like holding it. So the Celtic principle of sacred earth is that what we do to the earth, we do to God. What we do to the earth, we do to God. Deep breath in, exhale, let that leg drop into a half butterfly. So the person that represents sacred earth in Celtic wisdom is being called the American Celt. He was born in Scotland in Dunbar, and that's where he grew up until he was 11, and his family moved to Wisconsin and to a farm. And he had a pretty rough childhood. His father was just, how can I say, he was an only Bible kind of guy. You know, only the Bible matters. And he forced him to learn the Bible by heart, to recite it. And if he didn't do it right, he would get beatings. And when they moved to the Wisconsin, the abuse continued, but he was already in love with the earth. he already knew that the earth was sacred and that not everything was in the Bible, and really his full body stretch. He kind of knew. He always had that feeling, that knowledge, and then hug the left knee. So remember how we talked about in one of the principles that there are two books. And the earth is a divine manuscript. The earth is one of those books. You know, you have the sacred text, and for you, it could be the Bible, it could be the Quran, it could be the Bhagavad Gita. There are the sacred texts that are in the book, but there's also the greatest book that is the cosmos, the universe, and release into your half butterfly. John Murray now is very, very respected. He's really is a prophet for nature. He's an advocate for nature through his books, through his teachings. He came back into fashion, if I may say that, in our 20th and 21st century. He's quoted a lot. And to him, the earth was the divine incarnation. The earth was sacred. The earth was made in God's image. And our full body stretch. And I'm going to hug the knees again, and we're going to roll up. And again, John, be careful. And we're going to have the feet in a big butterfly. And we're going to inhale up, exhale, find your turtle. Join the arms under your legs, take chin to chest. So John Muir used to say that every rock, he loved the mounds. Every rock formation, every little rock throbs and pulses with the divine and by the heart of God. So he saw every rock as the heartbeat of God. He also said that all matter is spirit. You know, a rock is spirit. A tree is spirit. And that all the parts of nature are portions of God and are to be respected as such. Relax a little more. We're here for another minute. Really relax. Whatever happened today. Maybe it was a busy day. Maybe it was a day that just dragged on. Just lean into the peace and quiet of the evening. Just like the sun sets, we also need to set. And that's what John Muir taught as well. He's like, we need to go back to the rhythm of nature. We need to respect the rhythm of nature. How is your breath? How is your breath? And now, if available, very carefully keep your hands under your legs, and you're going to come up into balancing flower, balancing lotus. Again, John is being very careful with our left foot. Now we're going to open wider for the tortoise, and we're going to drop the feet to the floor, and we're going to keep folding. Feels okay, John? Mm-hmm. And relax. So John Muir went to university, and in university he had a mentor, and the wife of his teacher, she also became a big mentor to him. She was what we call an anamhara. She was his soul friend. And we talked about anamhara, the soul friend. So she was always there, you know, to listen to him. He wrote her letters. She wrote them back. So she and her husband were his mentors. And he was at university around the time of the Civil War, and he believed that all life was sacred. So he fled to Canada because he didn't want to have to kill. And he came back to the US after the war. And he had an accident. He worked kind of like as an engineer with farm equipment, I think. And he had an accident that almost left him blind. And that was really a wake-up call for him. As he was blind and couldn't see what was on the outside, he discovered a new way of inner seeing, of seeing inside of himself. Just like the Celts, the ancient Celts used to say, call that seeing with the eye of the heart. And he really became proficient in seeing with the eye of the heart. Now we're going to come up, be careful, balancing happy baby. Oops, and the chair is not that easy. And release. Take the legs. So we're going to do side bends here, but nice and relaxed. We're going to stay seated. Open your legs wide. It's okay. We're going to inhale. Exhale, right arm on right leg and lean to the left. Nice. If you're on the chair, keep your back to the back of the chair. If you're on the mat, yeah, just do like me, John.
Yeah.
We're not mirroring on Zoom because some of the computers mirror for us. So anyway, but anyone can do whatever side they want. 2 more breaths. So I love this seeing with the eye of the heart. And now super slow. Inhale like that. Exhale at the top. Inhale again. Exhale other side. Left arm on left leg. And lean to the side. Take your time. So this is the time where he really decided to dedicate his life to the earth, to nature. And he called the earth a burning bush, you know, like the revelation in the Old Testament of the burning bush. And to him, that's what nature is. It's like each and inhale back up. Exhale. If that's okay, fold forward. And please, you can use a bolster. You want to use a bolster there. And you can use whatever you want here to lean forward, rest your chest on the bolster if you want. Or if you don't want it. And relax. And I'm going to read to you something that he said about the burning bush. He began to see a sacredness shining at the heart of all things, and he described the glory of the sunset on the mountaintop in California. Yellow gold, the last of day, not gilding, but golding to flame the tops of the trees. Spiritual fire burning in every tree, in every bush, in every stone, every bush is a burning bush. And super slow, we're going to reach forward and up. Forward first, super slow, come up. Reach up, let arms behind you, lift the heart. And release, shake it up, take your time. So now we're gonna go to hands and knees. So careful, John. I know you can put weight on your heel, but not on the foot itself. Come to your hands and knees. We're gonna do a few cat and cows. Inhale.
I'm keeping my left foot off the mat.
Okay. Now hold either the cow or the cow. Which one feels good today? release. Now we're going to do a kind of tiger tail. So maybe you're going to do it just with one leg. I'm not sure, John, but you're going to bring the right leg back. And then you're going to bring the right leg to the left. You bring it to the left.
To the left.
To the left. Like this. There you
The
go.
tiger tail.
Yeah, tiger tail. Yeah. Okay.
I got it.
You got it. And then here on the chair,
Just want to try to put my foot down.
I know, be careful. In the chair, you just sit at the top here, you bring the leg back. And sometimes when we have injuries, it really helps us to be beginners again, to do things in a different way instead of always doing, the same way.
So using the block to keep my foot off the ground.
Okay, very good. Yeah, he's putting his bad foot on the block to elevate it and
At
release
the ankle.
back to center. Shake it off. Now left leg back. Bring the leg back, and I'm going to give you the block, and you can put it on top of it if you want. Yep, right here. Is it good?
Yep, at the ankle.
And then here, we're going to bring the leg back, the other leg back, left leg back. Stretch it back. You got it. So let's go back to Mr. Muir. Muir, am I saying it right? Muir, John Muir. In 1867, he walked from, I guess, Wisconsin, all the way to Florida. It was about 1,000 miles. He walked 1,000 miles and he just explored the forest and the mountains, and it was really his journey into what he became. A man who just lived in nature and the mountains. Go back to center. And here we're going to do some hip rolls. Just do your hip rolls here. On the chair, we do trunk rotations, but on hands and knees, just going to roll, do circles with your hips. And release. Okay, so now, if you're on the mat, you're going to do a downward dog. John's going to have to do a three-legged dog. So lift your hips. And then bring the right leg high and do your pigeon. So bring the right knee by the right wrist, round yourself to the back leg. Okay, good. And relax. And again, you can put a bolster, a pillow under your body. You okay? Very good. On the chair, next circles with the hips. And bring the right foot either on the block or above the other. So John Muir reawakened the Celtic principles of the one fountain soul. So there's a fountain, and all the souls come from that fountain. We are all droplets of souls that come from the one fountain soul. And not just human beings come from that fountain soul. Every species, every animal is part of that one fountain soul. And they used to call, animals, they used to call them our earth-born companions. So every species matters. If one species disappears, is massacred and disappears, it is a big loss, not just for them, but for the whole of the universe. And every rock as well, everything is sacred. Matter is spirit. This is what he says about his childhood. When I was a boy in Scotland, I was fond of everything that was wild. And all my life, I've been growing fonder and fonder of wild places and wild creatures. And best of all, to watch the waves in awful storms thundering on the black headlands and the craggy ruins of the old Dunbar Castle, when the sea and the sky, the waves and the clouds we're mingled together as one. We have a little bit less than an hour, a minute here in the pigeon, the swan. So maybe allow yourself to remember an experience like this in the wilderness, in nature, in the wild, and how it felt. Two more breaths. I'm going to be super, super careful to come up. Or if it's better for you, stay low. Just listen to your body. Come up if you want. You can even lift the back leg if you want, push to the heel. If you want just a little more, and just hold. And release carefully into the down dog. Very carefully into the down dog. For Johnny, be the downward dog, the one-legged dog. And you can walk it. And when you're ready, left leg high and bring the leg at the wrist. On the chair, definitely. Make circles. And then ankle above the knee and fold. The next year, after he walked 1,000 miles to Florida, he decided to go to California, to go and be in the wilderness. So again, he went to San Francisco and then he walked all the way to Yosemite Park. And here he said he came home. He said, here I felt like I was born again. It felt like home. He talked about how being there was like touching naked God. God was naked there. God was just purely there. And he wrote, now we are fairly into the mountains and they are into us. We are fairly living now. What bright, seething, white fire enthusiasm is bred in us. We are part of nature, which like a fluid seems to drench and steep us throughout, as the whole sky and the rocks and flowers are drenched with God. That's just beautiful, drenched with God, naked God. So do you have an experience of having seen naked God, of being drenched, feeling like everything is drenched with God out in nature? Then your choice, stay low or come back up, whatever you prefer. And hold, you can bend the back leg if you want. And release into downward dog or three-legged dog when you're ready. And next, you're going to come forward into a high plank and then lower yourself into the Sphinx. So lower yourself into the Sphinx. So elbows by your side, under the shoulders. Press. So on the chair, you can just put the arms here, or we can put them on the stool. The pillows on top of it right here. And relax the chin to the chest. Relax the head, the face first. And then if you feel you want more, you can press from the earth. And notice how in yoga, I mean, the principle of a yoga practice, when I train teachers, it's you always start from the foundation. You always start from the earth. Because that is our foundation. You always start from the place that anchors you. And here, you know, it's going to be those arms on the floor or on the bolster. Some poses it's the feet. It's very important to start from the earth. And John Muir used to say that we should walk barefoot. We should walk barefoot in the earth, in the sand, and we should know with our heels as well as with our head. I love that. We should know with our heels as well as with our head. He said so many beautiful things. When I was researching him for this class, I wanted to remember everything. I wanted all the quotes because they are all more beautiful than one is more beautiful than the other. You keep being in awe of those beautiful, beautiful words. He also said, I am in the woods and the woods are in me. He said, in God's wildness lies the hope of the world. A couple more breaths here. Then release your arms by your side. Your choice to stay low in Adho Vasana, to rest, or to come back up into the Sphinx. Your choice. Or if you want more, spread your fingers, move your hands towards the corners of the mat or the block, whatever is in front of you. Put the weight into the hands. And just make sure your shoulders are relaxed so they're not hunched. Lift the heart. Press the lower body into the mat. So when we do a yoga practice, it's very important to always have that principle that we start from the earth. I mean, we always start from the earth. Grounded, stable, connected to the earth. Deep breath in. Exhale, as you inhale, come back to Sphinx. So in India, they don't use yoga mats. They have their feet. They practice, you know, in the grass, in the dirt, in the sand. And release your arms by your side. One cheek. Right. So I'm planning a trip to India, and people are asking me if they should bring their yoga mats to the India trip. And I tell them, you don't really need to. In India, they don't use yoga mats. And, you know, I would like us to really maybe practice like they practice. I mean, you can bring a towel if you want, but just having the feet in the earth, connected to the earth is beautiful. If we're able to practice outside, which I know that we will be able to. And now we're going to come into our child's pose. So careful, John. Let's sit back on our heels. And just relax. And you can have a bolster under your chest. Here. Relax. So there were actually 3 principles in John Murray's, I guess, he didn't really, I mean, he taught, but, he didn't teach as a teacher. He taught by doing. And people started coming to him, and they learned from him. People like Ralph Waldo Emerson learned everything from him. He went up to the mountains. People would go up to the mountain and spend time with him and call him a prophet of nature. And by that time, he was kind of a wild man. He had grown his beard, he had grown his hair. He was a wild man in the wilderness. Henry David Thoreau also was a kindred spirit. Now let's stretch our arms and shoulders with the palm up. Slide the right arm under the left shoulder. Relax the right side of the face to the mat or to oblique. On the chair, if you want to do it a different way, hold the right arm, left arm underneath. So the first principle that John Murray taught is that hope is already in nature. Hope is already in nature. You look at nature, you cannot help but hope. Seasons come back, things grow. Sometimes you have fires, forest fires, and then you go back the next year and you see green just growing. It comes back. And that gives us hope. The sun always sets, and the sun is always going to rise in the morning. And release. Other side. And John is doing left arm on the shoulder. Here you can hug. So the key is, nature is our greatest teacher. We should serve her, not dominate her, not use her. We are not masters of the earth. We do not own the earth to do whatever we want with it. We do not own nature. But we should love nature. We should be lovers of nature, not masters of nature. Because in nature is hope. So if we kill nature, we kill our hope. Literally. And release. Now we're going to do a frog. So you can face the long side of your mat. Open your knees wide. Open your feet wide. And relax. So in the chair to do the frog, just sit at the top. You open wide, wide, wide. Then you put your block here, your pillow, your bolster, and you want to feel it in your hips, the hip flexors here, your back. To be nice and relaxed. Breathe in and breathe out. The second principle that John Murray told us is that we should allow nature to awaken us. And doing this by coming back into a true relationship with nature. The rhythms of nature. You know, women, when we have our cycle should be to the rhythm of the moon. The sunrise, the sunset are very powerful moments. The cycles of the season. Just allow nature to awaken us, to teach us again. We have tried for so long to dominate nature. We think we can dominate nature, and we have actually hurt ourselves by doing that. And then number three, John Murray taught that when we get in touch with the nature, we get in touch with the wildness of the divine in us, that the divine is actually wild. The divine is wilderness. And again, that's the one found soul. We cannot just, science and reasons are good, but we cannot just explain everything in nature with science and reason. We need to get back in touch with the wilderness, the wild woman, the wild man. Let's do 30, 40 more seconds here. So John Murray said that we are drawn to the wildness of nature, and we should also, you know, try to connect with it and understand it. So that's what he wrote. This was my method of study. I drifted about from rock to rock, from stream to stream, from grove to grove. When I discovered a new plant, I sat down beside it for a minute or a day to make its acquaintance and try to hear what it had to say. I asked the boulders I met whence they came from and whither they were going. And there's a story of him seeing a wild orchid across a river, and he crossed the river and he started crying over the beauty of that orchid. So really communing with nature, not just as something to look at, or it's pretty, but just really communing with nature. And now we're going to come up super, super slow. So keep your knees wide, big toes together if able, and push your hips back. One-legged child's pose. And bring your knees closer together a little bit if available for the regular child's pose. So John Murray started to write. People wanted him to write. He did not like to write. He just wanted to be out in nature. But they say you have to write and share what you know. This is so important. No one can express it the way you do. So he wrote articles. He wrote articles that really, really touched people and made a big difference. His most famous article is called God's First Temples. And he talks about the mounds as God's first temples. And the trees. The trees are also temples. So now we're going to come up super slow. The goal is to get to our back. So whichever way you prefer, sit on one hip. Move back to the earth. The earth is going to welcome us and support us. Full body stretch. And down. We're going to do a twist. So we're going to cross right leg over left, bend your knees. Or do it the way John is doing it, so he doesn't have to put weight on his foot. on the chair cross. Left hand grabs the right knee and twist. So in his articles, what was wonderful, he did not just denounce people, especially back in the days. At that time in the 19th century, people were just pillaging nature and so he really raised the consciousness and then bring everything to the side to which you're twisting, same side as which you're twisting. So he did not just denounce people who were destroying nature, killing trees, but he was calling us to fall in love with nature again. It's like, it's not just enough to call out what people are doing wrong. You have to fall in love with nature again and really understand nature, commune with it, and back to stand up, full body stretch. And then other side. Left leg over right, like John is doing, just bring the legs to the left, right hand on the knee, twist. So his articles were so powerful that President Theodore Roosevelt went and met with him in the mountains in Yosemite. And Roosevelt was very touched by what he had to say. So he started what we now know as the national parks. I think one of the United States' greatest treasures, all those national parks, state parks, historical parks. And everything comes to the left. Started by establishing 2 national parks, and the first 2 ones were Yosemite and Sequoia National Park. Those were the first 2, established by Roosevelt with the approval of Congress. And it was really a first in the world. It was the first time that a nation, back to center, full body stretch. Now we're going to do our legs up. So you can just bring your legs up or put them against the wall. If you have a wall close to you, can put a block under your lower back. That feels good for some people. If you were on the chair, you can go to the floor now. You don't have to, but you can if you want. You just want those legs up. So it was the first time, it was unprecedented in the world that nature, the protection of nature was regulated legally by a nation legal system, by the congressmen, by the senators, by the president, by the legislative branch. It was the first time. And that was pretty amazing. And we know that from there, Roosevelt created more parks, and now we have a lot, which are a treasure of this country. During his presidency, Roosevelt went on to establish 5 more national parks, 15 national nature reserves, 55 national bird sanctuaries and wildlife refuges, and 150 national forests. And John Murray's part in this was enormous. Actually, he was the reason. He had really brought out that nature was supposed to be protected. And he had made a point, not just by accusing again, by just bringing out that we should love nature. And many of the battles he lost, like one time there was a dam that was supposed to go built in Yosemite forest, and he was against it, and it destroyed a lot of the nature, the trees, and he fought against it, but they still built the dam. He did not always lose. He didn't always win. They didn't always lose either. He said, wildness is a necessity. We needed to live. We needed to be ourselves, to be our best selves. So we need to preserve it. We need to protect it. It's essential to our survival, to the survival of our soul. And super slow start to release. Full body stretch. Prepare for relaxation, yoga nidra. Make sure you have a blanket, a pillow. Make sure you're nice and comfortable. And as you start relaxing, I would like you tonight to relax from the root chakras, to relax from the soles of the feet up. For now, we're just going to stare at the soles of the feet. And just visualize the soles of the feet in the earth, in contact with the earth, naked God. Feet in the dirt, in the sand, even on rocks, on the grass, on moss. We are to return to the mountains, he says, and we will all be born anew. Go back among the mountains and get their good tidings. Winds will blow their freshness into you, and storms will give you new energy. Nature's love will get into your heart as surely as sunshine into trees. We do not have to create a love of nature in one another and in our society. Our work, rather, is to help reawaken the sense of the sacred that is already deep in the human soul. Our primordial relationship with nature, our ancient mother, love of the earth. We can be part of its rising again. So visualizing, feeling your feet in the earth, in contact with the earth. And then allowing, drawing the energy from the earth up your legs. And deep into the belly. Deep into the belly. The belly is our strength, our willpower. Feel yourself fortified by the earth energy. Because when you're in nature, you feel energized, right? And then allowing that flow to rise to your heart and to feel your love for nature. We need to be lovers of nature, not masters, lovers of nature. Feel it in your heart. A warm, soft feeling for nature, for the mountains, for the trees, for the meadows, for the sandy beaches, for the oceans, the lakes, the peaks of tall mountains, and the round mounds and valleys, and the gonds, the deserts, allowing yourself to love all of it. I know some of us are mountain people, some of us are beach people, but just loving all of it in your heart. And this is where we're going to stay. We're going to stay in the heart. We're connected to our love for the wildness of nature, for naked God in nature. Breathing in and breathing out. And visualize parts of nature, portions of nature that you have seen, that you have experienced, that you have walked, that you have climbed, that really awaken that feeling of just pure love, of divine incarnation. Because through nature, we see with the eye of the heart. Awake, O my soul, and know that you are born of the earth. Awake to your love for her, sown like a seed in the womb of your beginnings. Honor her, protect her, cherish and adore her. Awake, O my soul, and know that you are born of the earth. Holding in your heart that primal love of the earth. This is the flame that will set us on fire, both to love and adore her and to cherish and honor her body. Taking your time, coming back, you can stay right where you are if you wish. It's your home, it's your PJs. Or you can roll over to the side, you can hug your knees, you can sit up, but please do not rush it. Do not rush it. And if you want, we come into Hakini Mudra, the Mudra of connection. And tonight we're connected to the earth, to nature. That love of the earth, that primal love of the earth is already in us. We are born of the earth, and when we die, we go back to the earth. So remembering to walk barefoot, remembering to ground ourselves, It's the basic of yoga. It's the basic of everything. Before we do anything, to look into the naked truth of the earth. Because this is where hope is. Hearing one sound of Om, inhale. The love of the earth in me honors the love of the earth in you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you for joining me. I will send you with the recording and also how to find some by John Lewis.
Thank you, Christine and John.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
Namaste. I'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you both.
Good night, Steiner. Good to see you.
Thank you. It was lovely. Good job, John. I know how it is with the foot. You did great.